Another myth that we get when it comes to counseling or counseling psychology is that it's not Islamic. They say there's no basis in Islam about it. Now let's look at one dua of the Prophet ﷺ, and I want you to reflect and ponder what he's talking about. He said, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-hazan wal-ajzi wal-kasal wal-bukhul wal-jubn wa dala'i ad-dayn wa ghalabat al-rijal. So let me go back to the first two things. So he seeks refuge in a few things in this dua, and it's a beautiful dua, and we should make it. So the first two things he mentions are related to mental health. They are related to things that all of us deal with, and he seeks refuge in Allah from them. And then he says, from ajz and kasal, which means have to rely on other people. He seeks refuge from laziness. He seeks refuge from miserliness. He seeks refuge from being a coward, and then from being overpowered by men, and from debt. So these are all the things he's seeking refuge from. The first two things that I mentioned, though, he seeks refuge from grief and sadness. Grief and sadness. Now these are all related as well, because somebody who's drowning in debt and who has to rely on other people is going to be very sad and is going to be overcome with a lot of grief. But if it was so impermissible to work on our mental well-being, then why would the Prophet ﷺ make this dua? He would have just skipped the first two parts, because he knows that when people are in a state of being stingy, or they're a coward, all of this is going back to their mental capacity. If the mental capacity is good, then these other things will not have as great an effect. It's very interesting that a lot of us, we can go through large portions of our life and we'll have no physical ailments, but everybody will have some sort of mental ailments at some point in time. Now, it's very important to remember, I'm not saying that anytime you feel sadness or grief, that it's clinical depression or something like that, or clinical anxiety. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I'm saying is, when it gets to a level, this is the golden rule, when it gets to a level where it is interfering with your daily activities and your life, then that's when it becomes a problem. Like the person who has OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, and they go to bed at night, and these are real cases that happen, and they try to remember, did I lock the house or not? And they'll get up 20 or 30 times for the next 2 hours and go back and lock the door. That is interfering with your life. The person whose marriage is falling apart because they are addicted to sex. I mean, this is a reality. I'm telling you from what's out there in Muslim communities. So all of these things we want to protect ourselves from, and they all can cause a lot of issues. So mental health is not just for people who are in a psychiatric ward, which is what many of us think, but indeed it is something that a lot more of us can benefit from, and this dua is evidence of that.